On Overdrive today, we check out the newly launched safest Maruti Suzuki till date, the Dzire. A look at what's changed in the Nissan Magnite, and we also check out what's new in the latest generation Audi Q8. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I am Soini Dutt. The Maruti Suzuki Dzire has become the very first Maruti Suzuki car to score a 5-star G NCAP safety rating. So does this make the Dzire more desirable than before? Let's find out.
Now the Maruti Suzuki Dzire sells 1.5 times more than its closest rival, but as you can see, it's broken from that Swift with the boot theme for the first time. So is this compact sedan still that effective? Let's find out. As with most Maruti Suzuki cars, the Dzire is easy to get used to driving. The driving position feels natural, all the controls are placed intuitively, and the steering wheel feels good in your hands. The compact dimensions also help make it easy to navigate in tight spaces, especially with the new 360-degree camera that's been added and the 4.8-meter turning radius. The new 3-cylinder 1.2-litre Z-Series engine makes its way here too, with its 82 PS and 112 Nm, pairing with a 5-speed manual and AMT. But a noticeable improvement over the new Swift has been with the refinement. The engine is quieter now and there's much less in the way of vibrations seeping into the cabin. Although the older 4-cylinder unit still had an edge in this regard. But you should be able to live with this given the impressive mileage figures. The Dzire returns 25.71 kmpl with the AMT and 24.79 kmpl with the manual. This is similar to the Swift despite 30 kg weight gain, helped by a 6% gain in aero efficiency over the last Dzire. Now as for this new 3-cylinder motor, it functions exactly like how we've noticed it to do in the past. So it has that nice perky low-end torque, which say the earlier motor did not have. But you also have that trade-off of it being slightly mellow as you build revs, of being just a slightly bit less responsive than the older engine. But like you've seen in our previous comparison with the Swift and the Glanza, this doesn't really hamper its performance in the real world. On paper, it will be about as quick as the last Dzire. That's what we think. Of course, you have that added benefit of the better fuel economy. Now, as much as the Dzire is different from the Swift on the outside, on the inside it's very clear that it's heavily derived from the new Swift. Now, of course, you have that same layered new design. It looks really quite modern, like we mentioned with the Swift. This big screen in the middle. Yes, it sometimes can affect your view out, but that's only in certain situations at certain seat heights or if you are of a certain height. The panel gaps seem more consistent and the plastics seem to flex a touch less. Although that functional feel that you get from a Maruti continues. You have some well-placed soft elements like on the door handles and with the switchgear. There could have been better practicality. You get just the one USB charge port in the front, with the ones for the rear also an easy reach just in case. And the door pockets could have been larger too. They can hold one medium-sized bottle and smaller knickknacks, but no more. Of course, you then have the quite typical Maruti touches like these quite functional climate control switches with the toggles and the neat buttons. Fairly okay-ish center console space, like many of you pointed out in our walk-around video. Maybe a center armrest here would have been a good addition over the Swift. And then you have the steering wheel again. It's very typically Maruti Suzuki. You've seen this in many other cars. It's again here. It feels nice to hold. And you have that analog instrument cluster. Yes, it's not a digital unit like you might expect nowadays, but with its quite clear visuals and really quite neat layout, I don't really mind it at all. The 9-inch touchscreen is an effective infotainment setup. It's not the slickest in its responses or graphics, but presents all the information you might need within easy access. The wireless Android Auto Apple CarPlay works seamlessly, which makes life easy. Here's a look at the other features that are on offer. But the big talking point with the new Dzire is that it's the first Maruti Suzuki to score a 5-star G NCAP rating. The structure has been strengthened and you do get a more substantial sense from the car. There are 6 airbags as standard, 3-point seat belts for all passengers, ESP, hill hold, TPMS and a 360-degree camera with a clearer feed than cars like the Baleno and Grand Vitara. The back seat of the Dzire is really going to be the place that you will spend most of your time, and I must say that things here look quite good. I mean, you have a good deal of legroom. I just have a hunch that it's more than the Swift, even though the wheelbase is the same at 2450 mm. And why do I say that? It's because this panel here, see, is much smaller than in the Swift. This cowl is really quite small, and I think that has helped Maruti Suzuki free up a bit more legroom. The seats themselves, they offer a decent degree of under-thigh support, which I quite like. They're not completely short scope. Yes, they're completely flat, which you do expect in a Maruti car nowadays, but what that helps you with is putting 3 abreast, which I think should not be that much of an issue. Yes, you do have a bit of a central hump, but 3 abreast, especially if it's a kid in the middle, shouldn't be much of a problem. Now the backrest itself is reclined to a good angle. It's reasonably comfortable. A neat feature is that it extends right to the door. You've seen this in some luxury cars, and it's now here in a Dzire, which is really quite smart, and that gives you something to rest on. So if you're dozing off, that really does help. You again get a big chunky headrest, which is good. There's no central headrest, which is not that nice, but you now get a armrest, which is not something you found in a Dzire before. And then in terms of the other amenities that are on offer, yes, you now get a sunroof for the first time in a Dzire, which is something that you don't get in the Swift. And you get the Type A and Type C charge ports and the rear AC vent. Dimensionally, the 2024 Dzire has hardly changed, but the effect is a massive departure. The new look makes for a more upmarket sense for sure, giving the car more presence and a greater sense of scale. There's a German sedan sense to the look that doesn't feel forced. Maruti Suzuki has done well to resist the urge to douse this in chrome either. The bodywork doesn't share anything with the new Swift, so you have a less extroverted sense from the simple body panels and quite typical sedan glasshouse. The rear has been well executed too. It looks most recognizable as a Dzire from here, but has managed to not feel truncated as in many sub-4 meter cars can. We think the clear lens lighting could have been more subtle, but again it's well detailed. Now, of course, one of the reasons why you might pick the Dzire over a hatchback is the boot space. Now at 382 litres, it's grown slightly, about 3 or 4 litres more than the last version, and it's much more than the 265 litres of the new generation Swift. Now as you can see, the opening is large and wide and high, so putting things in is not very difficult. Yes, you have a slightly high lip and there is a bit of a ledge here, so a big suitcase like this does take a bit of effort, not a lot to be honest. But really, in terms of the space that's on offer, it's really quite good. You can easily fit a family's weekend luggage here without much trouble, so that's great. The new Maruti Suzuki Dzire sticks to its formula of being a sensible family car. Yes, it could do with a bit more of a special feeling in the cabin, but the smart new styling, the great efficiency that hasn't come at the cost of its fun, easygoing driving demeanor, spacious cabin and an improved features list mean that it will have the competition covered, especially now that the debate over the safety of Maruti Suzuki cars has been strongly addressed.
Well, it's time to dive into a very quick break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we tell you what's changed in the Nissan Magnite